All right, we are here with another episode of the Cymatics Show. Really excited because today we got Neek. How's it going, man?
It's going well. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, dude, the reason I'm pumped is we've had a lot of interesting guests come in, a lot of people in the EDM world, but me and Drew see how pop and hip hop world is, and you're somebody who's deeply in there and getting involved in mixing giant records, and I think you bring a lot to the table that we haven't had from a lot of other guests,
No, for sure. I'm super fortunate to be in this position, but we got a long way to go. But definitely in the starting stages of kind of getting my foot in the door in that world, and hopefully be here for a long time.
You want to talk about some of your credits and just all the stuff you've done?
Yeah, so most notably is the Lil Skies album, Shelby. I did all the mixing and mastering on that album. And I also did a lettuce sandwich on the first album. And then I do Landon Cubes Records. I just did a whole EP with him, produced track 1, and I mixed for Lil Nas as well. And a lot of other people in the hip hop world, pretty much anybody. But for the most part, those are the main people that I would say are my bigger credits at the moment. And 24K Golden, who's an awesome artist.
So you have a platinum record, right?
For mixing, correct.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and then I think by Skies might be I think it's gold, but it's platinum. It might be platinum. I'm not sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that is awesome. By the way,
cool.
a quick warning for the whole episode. The fans do get a little mad because they used to get mad at me when I swiveled. So just I forgot.
Oh, really?
Dude, they get mad at me when I swivel, and I swivel back and forth all
I've
the time.
gotten better at it, but sometimes I'll catch myself. I'll just be like,
yeah. I forgot to tell you. That's why I saw you swiveling. I was like, I better say something before we get
you
too
can't have
deep.
swivel chairs. You got to get different chairs.
I know, we need some solid chairs.
Yeah, or at least lock them in a little bit. So
Yeah,
you only
for sure.
Yeah, because people just rock the whole day,
Yeah, no, I'm sitting. Yeah, I feel it.
No, cool. So, dude, just out of curiosity, man. So you came in from being that mixing engineer angle, which I think has allowed you to play in a lane that I would say is not as competitive. Would you say that as kind of the producing, trying to make beats and get placements?
No, that's a really good point. You're right. It's not that competitive, mainly because there are a lot more producers than there are engineers. And I always feel like having an engineer is like having a barber. So if you have that one dude that cuts your hair perfect, you just stay with him. You don't just keep going around. Producing's a little different because everybody has a different sound, makes different beats. But with engineering, it's people swear by their engineers, and a lot of times it's their sound. So if you just get in with an artist, for the most part, they're going to get beats from different producers, but they're going to keep sending the vocals to you to mix them.
It feels like it's way less replicatable. It's a very once you have a good guy, it seems like you want to stick with him for life almost.
For sure. And every engineer definitely has a sound, has a way to go about it. And the people at the top are really good at taking a sound that an engineer has and just fixing it a little bit to make it work for a more universal output. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of artists have their own engineer.
So they mostly just stick with one person all the time. Lil Skies is only going to use you basically at this point, and for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. If they're doing stuff on their own, recording, and it's unless the label gets involved and they want to pay someone like a Manny American or a Jason Joshua to mix it, I mean, by all means, those guys are really, really good at what they do, so no hard feelings. But a lot of times it's just knowing that you have that go-to guy that can get a song done quick, get it out, get it sounding right. Mm-hmm. That's something that is really valuable to an artist. And like I said, if they have a song where they're yo, we might want to try to get this other dude to work on it, by all means, that's totally cool. Whichever makes the best product possible.
So what led you down this path? What was your backstory looking like to lead you down to being a mixing engineer?
So in 8th grade, I started a band and played in a rock band, and we just covered Weezer and Green Day all the time, and then made our own songs. And then as every aspiring band, they want to cut a demo. So we started by recording our band with a Logitech microphone into a PC microphone input on a ceiling fan, and we would just jam out and record. And we recorded into Audacity. We thought it was the dopest thing ever. It sounded
it
garbage.
feels like that at the time.
Yeah, the first time you lay that down, you're wow, this is amazing. And then we kind of just got obsessed with how can we make this better? Shout out to my friend John McFarland. He was the drummer at the time. He still to this day does music production, but he and I really got into this and trying to figure it out. We figured out oh, we can get Logic Pro, and then we got some plugins. We're yo, this is crazy, and then we start next thing you know, the drums start to sound really good. We started messing with drum triggers, which was really big in the Warped Tour post-hardcore scene, where bands the drummer the kick and the snare would be triggers, you know what I mean? But they'd still play it, and then they get quantized. So we'd mess with that. And then kind of throughout high school, we were just making songs and was doing it for about like 4 years where we were like recording through Logic into a Firewire interface, into a Mac, putting like using all wave plugins. And so when I went to college, the band kind of fell apart, unfortunately. Rest in peace. And then it was just really hip hop and singers in school. Like everybody wanted to be a rapper or a singer. So I was like one of the only people that really had like a mic set up and was willing to just record people because I really enjoyed it. I was obsessed with like, why does my stuff not sound like the stuff on the radio? Mm-hmm. Then whenever I get really close, you'd have like that one song that sounded really good. You'd be like, I'm getting somewhere here, like bringing value in some sort. And then towards the end of my college career, I was just working with so many people and doing stuff online for people to where like, I knew I didn't want to have a job in finance. Like that's what I was in school for. And I knew I was like really passionate about this stuff to a point where I was like studying audio engineering and mixing more than I was like finance, more than I was like studying anything. I was like actually reading plugin manuals. Yeah. And I just got really obsessed with it. And then I got it to a point where I was making money online and just like running sessions out of my attic in my house in college. And then from there I was like going to LA.
I think that's one of the best things you can do is just read plugin manuals. Like I learned
Yeah.
so much shit from that, man. People ask me
amazing.
so many questions in my DMs every day that would be answered in 1 second if they just open the plugin manual and press Command F and find it.
For sure. I highly recommend it, especially if you're using a plugin and you see something on that plugin that you don't know what it is, but you just like to hear how it sounds. That's great. But just know if you go into the manual, it will probably tell you exactly what that is.
That's a huge tip, man. I think everybody needs to do that. I would guess that most people that watch this are not reading their plugin
Especially
manuals.
some of them are well written, like super well.
Super well written, yeah, and super easy to understand, like very like simple terms for anybody, and a lot of times they're cracking jokes in them, which is cool.
Yeah,
Dude, the Isotope Dither one does that a lot because they're like trying to keep people interested in dithering, which is like the most boring topic of all time.
Is hilarious.
I read it and it
really-
was like 40 pages and it was just like the most boring thing, but they were just cracking jokes the whole time.
That is so funny.
yeah. It's funny that before I always watch video and stuff, and then
Yeah.
it was actually. There was no good videos for like MPC training, like the MPC. And then I looked in the manual and it was like super easily written. I was even thinking like we should do some more shit like along those lines. You know what I'm saying?
Straight for that. Thank you.
Just because I don't know. It's a different way to learn. Sticks in your brain in a different fashion.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something you can always go back to. It's right there. Like you don't have to go to YouTube, find the video. It's like in every plugin, just hit the little question mark at the top and it will pull up the manual.
Yeah, and whether you're reading the manual or watching YouTube videos, whatever, you need to actually go do the shit right after you read it. Like not just like think like, oh, I just read that, I know how to do it. Like you got to practice it like 10 times.
Like keep the manual up while you do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
While we're on this topic, you want to talk about like plugins, favorite plugins? You can start with just favorite compressors.
Favorite compressors. Start out easy. The Soft Tube Tech compressor. It's like $300 for one plugin, which is kind of hard to swallow, but it's a great sounding compressor. It's a great sounding piece of hardware.
Is that the CL1B?
Yep.
Yeah, I just ordered that one. The hardware. I'm so excited.
Oh,
man.
it's great.
Yeah, Reed recommended me.
Yeah, it's my favorite piece of hardware. I've yet to own one, but I'll get one soon. That I like. Now, I'm just gonna put our compressor in there. I'm not gonna say it's like my favorite sounding compressor, but I use it so much, and like I said before, it's just a humble, modest compressor. It's not like determining the sound of your song. It's just compressing and something quick, easy to use. So I'll throw that in there. And then finally, I'll put a tie between Arvox and the Slate Digital Distressor plugin. I just got the UAD one, so I haven't really dove into that one. But I really like the Slate one a lot. I love that it has the mix knob, so even if I just want to use a little bit of it, I can. And then Arvox is just a cheat code, in my opinion. It just brings vocals up like right in your face, right where they need to be. It feels really good. And then the first runner-up, Audio Track. Audio Track is a Waves plugin that is a combination of the C1 compressor and like a Q4. But the preset classic compressor is a great starting plugin on your track. If you just put Audio Track, it's like the second preset. Just go over to classic compressor. It will make your microphone sound so much better than what it did before. And it's a great like starting point. Like if you're in a session and they want their stuff to sound good, throw that on there. And it's good instead of like CLA vocals or nothing against those plugins, but they use a lot of processing and it's like a sound. This one's just like a clean, full compression sound that I swear, but I actually keep it on my tracking track. So when I'm tracking vocals, I run it through audio track. It doesn't get printed, but it's just good for monitoring because, like I said, it makes the mic sound really good.
That's awesome.
Go
ahead.
What's some tips when you're having, let's say, a low end that's not hitting right? Like, what do you do to bring that out in a track?
So there's a lot of things you can do. Are you talking about the beat,
your
the
808s.
vocals, or everything together?
Or really,
Probably the beat more than anything.
Okay, well, with the beat, one thing, one is that, like, I feel like I'm saying the same things, but it's really leveling. Like, you really have to level your stuff right. Start with the low end, start with the drums, bring everything in after that, bring in your vocals. And another thing, too, is when you have a lot of low end, if you have a big, heavy, thick vocal, just know you're taking away from the big, heavy thickness of the beat as well, especially if that vocal's on top. Because if that vocal's on top, then it's just going to be on top of that kick and 808 and everything. So there's a huge balance game between leveling out the beat properly. So when you pull those vocals in, they're in the beat. They're like in the song, not necessarily like vocal beat. It's more like the vocal and then the beat surrounds the vocal. And to do that, it's just really properly EQing your vocal. Don't go in there and start cutting all your lows because you want your kick to hit harder. Find where your kick is hitting and try to attack that part of the vocal before you just start moving things, filtering everything, messing with your 808. You can get pretty far and go a pretty long way just by properly leveling and finessing the low frequencies of the instruments and the vocals that are taking up the low end.
So what's the first thing you do when somebody sends you a song to mix? Like, very first thing, you open it up, you got
First thing I do, I listen to the reference track.
Okay.
Like, that's really important because, like I said on the workshop that we did, it's like you don't want to send them back something that is completely different than what they've been jamming out to. And anybody who's made music, even me, when I send my stuff to get, like, if I produce a song and I send it to get mixed, I'm always like the one with the most notes because I'm like, yo, not only do I know like kind of what they did, but I know what's different, specifically what's different. And I'm like, yo, the guitars are too bright. Like I don't want them that bright. But like in the engineer's eyes, they might think like, I'm gonna brighten up these guitars. But like really listen to the reference mix. But the first thing you do, hear how they have it. And then I'll start with the beat. I'll attack the beat, getting the, I'll actually turn all the audio down like -6 to -8 dB just to give myself that headroom because a lot of times that stuff comes in like hitting at 0 for the most part. So just turn all that stuff down and just know like when mastering and stuff, you're gonna have that headroom ready to go. So yeah, I'll start with the low end, the 808 and kick, bring in the rest of the drums, and then bring in the instruments. I don't go too crazy with the instruments until I start going in on the vocal, and then I'll play with the instruments a little bit to see how they feel with the vocal. But yeah, and then from there, once the leveling's good, it's kind of just, like I said, shade the color how you want to shade it.
That's awesome, man. So you want to talk more about some plugins? What about like EQ plugins that you go to, you find yourself constantly using?
For sure. The SSL channel is definitely a huge one. I love the fact that you can't really see the EQ. You just have to hear it. It's got a great high shelf, and it's got a great low shelf as well. Sounds really good. And the compressor on it, it's a compressor. It's in the top right. I only use it to kind of glue together the EQ adjustments that I make within the plugin. I don't use it as like my full-time compressor, and I do it very lightly. On top of that, REQ has one of the best high shelves, in my opinion, which is a Waves plugin. If I would use that plugin for anything, I would just use it for the high shelf. I don't know what it is, but it sounds really good. Then, of course, you got to put Fab Filter in there. The Q3, the multi-band EQ that they came out with. One, the shortcuts on that EQ are really amazing to where you don't have to click any drop-down menus or switch it to bell or shelf, like double-clicking at the far left or kind of to the left. Like it's already there, ready to go for you. And then on top of that, having it be a multi-band EQ, which simply means that it reduces or adds frequencies as they happen. You don't have to make really dramatic EQ adjustments. You can be like, all right, I kind of like the fullness of the vocal, but I don't want to take out all that mid-range, even though like at some points it's boxy. Just put in that dynamic EQ. It's a dynamic EQ, not a multi-band EQ. Yeah, put in the dynamic EQ, so when it gets a little boxy, it corrects it, and you keep moving.
Yeah, I really like that.
I like
I've been
them a
using
lot.
it constantly.
Yeah. How do you approach like panning when it comes to a mix? Because you were talking about certain things you like to experiment with panning.
Yeah.
Like what would you do in a mix to maybe make it stick out a little bit using panning?
Yeah, so main drum sounds, hi-hat, kick, snare, bass, keep in the middle, And then all the extras like the percussions, wood blocks, shakers, stuff like that. That stuff's like ear candy to put left and right. And then with instruments, I always try to have like, if you do something on the right, try to have something that makes up for it on the left. If you just have one guitar loop, I might just throw like an imager on it, like an S1 imager, just to spread it out a little bit. And a lot of times, like you'll see you have like 3 instruments. So like you want to pan 2, and then you have like 1 left. Or like try spreading 1 and then panning the other 2, like going left and right with the guitars, and then maybe that piano just spreading it to where it separates it a little bit, but you still have an even balance with your panning because you don't want to have too much happening in one ear and not enough in the other.
How do you approach leveling, like with drums versus instruments versus vocals?
So for me, like with hip hop, the like, drums are really important, and drums, like a lot of times with drums, the melody, you could have the melody turned down like a lot, and people will think it knocks. So like. It's like I definitely put the drums kick a little louder. I start with the 808 and kick, like just fight that battle right out the gate, and then snare, hi-hat, and then like snare, kick are pretty close to the same level. 808, depending on the type of 808 it is, if it's a subby 808, if it's a punchy 808, it's probably going to be a little lower than my kick. But that could change. But for the most part, I keep the kick up pretty high. And then for the instruments, that's more, it's like drums with the vocal, and then the instruments kind of like the under, I wouldn't say completely under, but it's not as loud as the drums and vocals, I would say.
I think that's a lot of people's issue is they want everybody to hear that little small detail that they tried to add, and they try to boost it like crazy.
For sure. No, definitely don't mix to impress producers or engineers. Mix for the audience.
That's huge advice, man.
Yeah.
So many people do that, and they overproduce the fuck out of their songs.
Even with production, same thing. Like for me, like I try not to have like a ton of tracks when I'm producing. I try not to just do a ton of stuff because it's cool and like producers will like it. It's really like whatever fits like the image I'm trying to capture, the mood you're trying to capture. Don't overdo it.
Dude, you should see EDM fucking project. These kids doing like.
And they almost they take pride on it. It's so funny. They just take pride on like having so many layers, but their mix is muddy as fuck.
The overall feeling of the song isn't there, but yet they're spending 2 hours on a riser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, yo, I reversed it, then I flipped it, then I did this, and I did that.
Yeah, but like the main
I put it upside down.
Yeah, that's the thing I like about hip hop is that it's so simple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that simple music, I mean, it's crushing it right now.
It translates very well. It's not overwhelming. It's not intimidating. And it's something that a lot of times it's either a simple beat that makes you feel something, or it could be a little bit more complex beat, but with like more simple lyrics, to where like the lyrics don't really matter that much. It's just a really cool, groovy beat. But there's a lot of different things to take away, a lot of different approaches with hip hop, especially now. Like things just are changing so much with the whole melodic hip hop and the way people are going about music. It's melody's really taking over. Compared to like what hip hop used to be. Not even saying I was a huge hip hop head, but like coming into it at the time that I came into it, like I'm more familiar with melodic rap than anything, like spitting bars and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to see how people go about it with making beats, because when you have melodic rap, the beats have to be kind of simple because you can't have fighting melodies throughout. So even when I'm producing a beat, I really don't like having like a lead synth that's going like doo-doo-doo-doo or something like that, because then it kind of limits the artist on the melody that they can write. So I think it's really important to kind of make a vibe, make something that people can feel, and let the artist like really paint the picture with the melody.
I really like that advice. This is a little bit of a random question, but how do you like to treat your room so you don't have a ton of background noise when you're recording? Or not just treat your room, like what do you do to avoid background noise?
So I cannot say that I have a properly treated room, but I can say that I know my room very well, and I know my speakers. But that is something that took a lot of time. Now for recording, I actually had a vocal booth like built, because I'm in like it's in my house, but it's a renovated garage, and the ceilings are really high. So you really can't like record unless you're going for a sound of having high ceilings. You can treat it, don't get me wrong, but it was just such a big task to where I was just like, I'm just gonna get a vocal booth made. So I had a vocal booth made, and it works really well. It's way bigger than I expected. Like it's actually a little too big. Like I don't know how I'm gonna get it out. It took us like 4 people to put it together.
I mean, dude, Drew's the same shit.
Yeah.
Really?
But mine comes apart pretty easily though. So
I think mine does too, but I messed up because I put it on wheels. But the wheels they lock. But like now there's like a gap from like the bottom of it to the wheel. So like when I pull a panel off, it doesn't just pull off to the floor. It like pulls off and falls a little bit. And they're like 200-pound walls. So they're like insulation, Roxol, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I had people build panels for my studio, but when the booth came in, it all got messed up because it was so big, and I had to rearrange everything. So the way my panels were built, had to get like, kind of had to just put it off to the side. It still works though.
So at home, what could somebody do that can't afford a booth or?
Bedroom studio.
Yeah.
Say.
Oh yeah, no. So I mean, one, if you have a bed in there, great. That's already a huge sound panel. Closet, and just I would say try to get some foam above the desk, like so when you're mixing, you have something taking the top, so what you're hearing is not bouncing off the top. There's a great YouTube series that they stopped doing a long time ago. You may have seen it, but it was like Studio Rescue with Rode microphones.
I haven't seen that.
They're like 7, 8 years old, and it's a YouTube series where this guy would go and like. Pretty much, it was like extreme home makeover, but for bedroom
It's like
studios.
bar rescue.
Exactly. he would like go in and like Acoustica would come and sponsor and like hook him up with all like the panels, and he would show you how to set up your panels with like a mirror against the wall till it like lines up with your speaker cone. Just a lot of like really cool tips. So I learned a lot from that. But yeah, just get as much foam up as you can. You don't have to go super OD. You want some life in the room, but try to cover up the sides, get it above you. And if you're recording, I recommend getting a halo reflection filter because a lot of the other ones are like complete BS. Or doing a makeshift vocal booth like in a closet or near your closet, maybe around a corner or something. But one thing to notice too, when you're recording, this is why like a lot of reflection filters are BS, is because microphones don't record from the back. It records everything from the front. So try to have stuff on your sides more than behind you. And I think that's one thing a lot of people get like misunderstood is they see a lot of these like filters and portable vocal booths, but at the same time, they're like covering everything but the part that is actually getting recorded, and that's the front of the microphone.
Definitely.
So try to be a little bit more wary of that.
I mean, dude, a closet with some blankets nailed up on the walls can go a long way.
It goes a long way.
I did that for years.
I did that for years as well.
Dude, by the way, you said that. Instantly in my head, I'm like, dude, that's a genius idea for a segment, Drew. How funny would that be? Go make over somebody's studio?
That'd be
Like,
awesome.
That would be fun.
sweet.
And
Like,
just, just like
we do
do
a
like a
giveaway, show up-
sponsorship almost, like
show up at
2,000
somebody's
bucks,
house.
just fix it up.
That'd be such a cool. We go there, fucking help somebody out. We gotta do that.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
That'd be dope.
we'll do that
You
soon.
said that. I was like, fuck, this is the greatest idea.
I'm
I've
so
ever-
mad they stopped doing them. Because
Yeah.
that was my favorite thing to sit down and watch because he gave them like a mic and a new desk.
It's kind of
and new
entertaining.
monitors.
It's almost satisfying in a weird way.
It's
'cause
it's awesome.
That's why those shows are so popular, because it's a weird satisfaction to watching improvement.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Studio Rescue featuring Steven and Drew. Going to
This is kind of a funny question. Have you ever had like a nightmare studio session? You don't have to say names, but like any situations where you felt so uncomfortable, you're like, I might have to leave here.
Yes. I've had two.
Oh.
But I'll tell you the first one. So I was using Logic Pro like my entire time in college, like just a boss in Logic Pro, flying through it. When I moved to LA, I kind of like thought most studios would use Logic Pro as well as Pro Tools. Like I knew what Pro Tools was, but the first studio I went to, and my friend Anthony Russo, he's an amazing pop artist. It was with him. And we had a producer come in, like pretty legit producer. And like not only could they not like, it was my first time, let me just say that, my first time in a real studio. Like everything was bedroom set up for me until I moved to LA. So my friend, he's like in with some bigger like industry people. He wants me to come help him. I'm excited. He like introduces me as like the engineer for the session. And they don't have Logic, so can't even like pull up Logic. Very little Pro Tools knowledge. But on top of that, nothing was turned on. The mic wasn't turned on. I didn't know, like, I was like, where's the interface? And there's so much more to that in a big studio than just like making sure the mic's plugged into the interface. There's like a patch bay and all this kind of like the mic was in a completely different room. There was like these interfaces in a closet down the hall. And I'm on the phone with the engineer, the real engineer of the studio. And he's like, all right, I want you to go to Patch Bay, go to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is a patch bay? Like, I don't even know this stuff. And it took me probably like an hour and a half. I was shaking. My friend even saw. I even said something. He was like, bro, I could tell you were nervous. I'm like, dude, this was like the worst experience ever. Because not only was it my first session, but I was kind of intimidated by this like producer. Like the producer had a manager. I didn't even know that was like a thing. I was like, wow, producers have managers? So like his manager's in there. Like they're just sitting there like waiting for the engineer to like get everything running. And I really couldn't. God or somebody, some higher power must have came in and like it worked.
Oh, it worked?
Yeah, it actually, what happened was Logic ended up working, but not like, we didn't have like any plugins or something. So it was just a very dummy session where we were just like, put the beat in and just recorded vocals, but didn't really go in on it. But it was embarrassing. It really was, so.
Damn.
What about any ones where the artist is just a crazy ass motherfucker or something?
I tend to be pretty decent about having sessions with people that I want to have sessions with.
Yeah, I understand.
Like, when I was in college, a little bit more, like I would even have, there would people be like selling drugs out of the session, like with like guns and shit.
Really?
Yeah, like that was kind of strange, but
kind of strange.
Jesus. But yeah, for the most part, I really don't do sessions with like random people, even if they're like a bigger artist. I try to have some sort of connection to them or know what they're about. If I really don't know who they are or what they're like, I normally pass on a lot of those sessions.
Yeah, that's probably good advice in general.
Sounds like me and Drew should think about that with fucking podcasts. Get somebody in here that's sketch as fuck. We're like, all right, it's a little much. You know what I'm saying?
All right, you want to kind of go into how you met Skies and how other people could go about like starting to connect with bigger artists or growing with a upcoming artist.
For sure. The first time I met Skies is when he pulled up to my studio in West Virginia. And he was laying a feature for my homie Connor. We became like acquaintances, but not anything like crazy. We weren't really like working together. But I knew that he was like another artist that lived like a couple hours from where I was staying. He made really good music at the time. So pretty much a year goes by. That was when I moved to LA after school. And then about 2 months in, Nick Jandora, who's my current roommate right now, was actually staying with me in North Hollywood. And I had like a makeshift studio in a garage. Skies' song Rude started going up, and then he dropped Red Roses, and that really started going up out of nowhere. So like I think APG like flew him out to LA. He was out there just kind of like kicking it, and Nick was like, yo, pull up to Neek's. And I think like because he remembered like meeting me the one time, so he pulled up. We chopped it up. We ended up running a session after he like did some label meetings and whatnot. And we just kept in touch, and he just started recording it when he would go back home and record. He would just send me all of his stuff, and we built a relationship up through that. Like one of the songs he sent me was Lettuce Sandwich, which actually made it on that first album. And then from there on out, I've done every song since the first album.
That's fucking awesome, man. And by the way, for anybody who's interested, we have The Magic Workshop, which is one of my favorite songs by Lil Skies.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Real Ties is probably
and the
my
workshop
favorite.
is like, I mean, you're going to get all the sauce. So if
Yeah.
you want to
Hell yeah.
learn some...
There are no
some sauce
secrets
on-
here. There are no
Dude,
secrets.
honestly, man, I'm almost more excited to find more mixing engineers. Even like producers are great too, obviously. But like, dude, just I think hearing that side of it,
I mean, I get a ton out of it too, man.
Dope,
Like
yeah.
every time somebody comes in town, I learn so much. Like Reed, you, anybody like that.
No, I appreciate it. It is. It's a different way to look about it. Look at it too. Especially for me, now that I'm producing a lot, I'm probably like 50-50 with producing an engineer right now. But I feel like I look at production a lot different just because I spent like the past 6-7 years focused on mixing. To where like now, when I'm making beats, pretty much what I know is you need good sounds. That's like the biggest thing. Like after being a mix engineer for this long, I know that there is like mixing is not really the secret to having good sounding beats. It's really good sounding sounds to having good sounding beats.
You know what's funny? Every single guest that comes in here has that exact same answer. Everybody.
I know, but it's so true.
No, it's good. I mean, I
know,
think the audience should like think for a second. You know what I'm
it'd be
saying?
weird if I came in here like I can make a kick sound amazing. It's like because I'm just gonna mix it. Like nah, it's getting amazing.
I mean, you can do that, but do you want to do that?
Yes.
No.
Is this the time worth it?
For me, speed is everything, especially when you're creating. You don't want to drag out the creative process. Like,
Yeah.
all right, here's a kick, so let me spend the time to try to make it sound like a good kick. You don't want that, because then you're going to start doing it with everything. Here's a snare. Let me make it sound like a good snare. just find the stuff that you like.
You kind of lose the vibe too.
You lose the vibe.
yeah.
I am very like ADD. There'll be a time where I'm just like super in it, and then I hit like one little wall and I'm done. I'm just like, nah, I'm off this. Like I don't even like how this sounds anymore. So yeah, I try to like expedite my process a lot through like templates and record it, like having like a favorite folder. Because if I have a kick that I know sounds good, I'll like put it in there and like it sounds good. But maybe later on when I like finish up, I may go in and try a different kick or try a different snare. But just to get the ball rolling, like I normally have the quick snare, quick kick that I like, very like generic sounding clap that works for everything. And then once you get like the main thing done, you can go in and have a little bit more fun with your sound choice.
Definitely. You want to talk about how you make money in the music industry? Because I know it's not just like you're mixing for huge artists and getting placements and stuff.
Yes, I mean, it all started like I was able to move to California just through having like an online clientele of mixing. So I was mixing for just a lot of artists through YouTube and SoundCloud, and I would just DM them or reach out to them on Instagram and offer to mix a song for free. And then even to this day, I still mix for a lot of those people. And that's kind of like my foundation income. And then now it started like as that. And then when I moved to LA, had that like my online mixing, started doing sessions with artists in like my makeshift studio. So I was getting money from that. And then once I started doing that, I started working with Skies and Landon. They were signed to record labels. So I was just getting paid a bigger fee to mix records through a record label. So now I was doing the sessions, the mixing fees, and then like my own clientele. And then pretty much dropped doing sessions with people because it's like you pay like $30-40 an hour. I wasn't really enjoying it that much, and I was able to kind of like focus more on the bigger mix projects that I had, spend more time on those, and then it's like my clients as well. And then when I started producing, then you get like the production advance, you get the points on records, and then on top of that, like if a lot of the records I produce, I mix too, so I'll get the mixing fee and the production fee, the production advance for it too. So currently right now, it's just a mix between label mixes, beats for people, and a little bit of like my clientele that is still willing to pay what I charge.
When you first were getting your name out there and you're getting these clients online, how are you getting your name online?
One was just working with people. Let me try to think here. Because it actually started in college. Like I had like a couple homies. My one homie is Arizona Zervis, who just had that
Roxanne.
Yeah. So like my freshman year of college, he drove from Maryland.
That's crazy.
That's
man.
hilarious.
That's a funny random connection.
It is, but he's like one of my best friends in this whole thing. We actually drove across country to move to LA. Like we stayed in a house together in North Hollywood for the first year. So everything that's happening for him is amazing.
Dude, fucking TikTok bro.
Made that shit explode.
TikTok. He went number
it.
1 on Spotify, man. Do you know how hard that is for
and he's like
independent
12
artists?
on Billboard right now.
That's
too.
crazy.
Yeah, man.
Are
That's
you
so hard to do.
Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
Oh, dude, that song's fucking everywhere, man.
It is, but I'm not actively. I'm just kind of like a
lurker?
ghost because
I mean, dude, it's
yeah.
fun, man.
Yeah.
It is fun, and there's just some like really cool stuff. I was like, yeah, that was cool.
I get exposed to a lot of stuff that I normally wouldn't see, like random pottery or something that I didn't know I'm interested in, and I see it, I'm like, wow, this is cool as fuck. I'm gonna save this.
No, exactly. But back to so Arizona, my homie Connor, who was going by C-Trox at the time. But those guys really got me excited because they were like really driven to get their music placed in like bigger YouTube channels and stuff like that. And I realized once they were like doing that, they were translating it to Spotify before people really even like got into Spotify and playlist or whatnot. So like they're getting like legit numbers, like 100K on a song. I'm like, yo, what we're doing is like actually meaning something. So I was trying to find like other people in that scene to like, yo, let me mix for you. Let me do this, blah, blah, blah. And through me like mixing, it was like having them like have a connection for like a feature, stuff like that. So we're building like our own little network and whatnot. Yeah, it all just kind of started coming together. And the biggest thing, like I said, having those bigger YouTube channels, the Spotify, even like SoundCloud reposts and whatnot, that kind of made me feel like what I was doing was important because it was like I'm helping these guys like get their music on a bigger scale, and like it just sounds better than a lot of the other stuff that's going on because like when I really started getting into mixing, there's not a lot of engineers now. There was not a lot of engineers then either, like way less than there are now probably. So yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of feeling that, having that value, and really just seeing the growth of these other people, and then starting to kind of find people in the same area and capitalize on that.
Dude, it's very refreshing to hear a story of a mixing engineer, man. Yeah. Just because it's so different. You know what I'm saying? I think it's such a smart angle, even for a lot of producers to think more about mixing because, like, dude, you are not fighting the same wave at all. It's like,
not just mixing. It could be anything that's not
Connections.
just trying to be a beat maker or touring EDM artist.
I mean,
Is so fucking
yeah, like,
hard.
dude, the connections you have and, like, the angle you're taking, I'm like, this is smart.
And
That's
I'm
instantly what
sure
I'm
you're getting
thinking.
placements from your mixing connections too.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, for sure. And
so that's how you're getting in the door in the first place. If you want to get like,
It's
dude,
like
you
us,
think
our
we could
podcast.
go if we really wanted to get placements or do whatever like that, but
no, it's definitely through the relationships that I built with artists. And it wasn't even when I decided to start like producing, I didn't go to like all the people that I've mixed for and been like, hey, I'm a producer now. Like, so I want you to start messing with my beats. It was like, I kind of just told myself I wanted to start producing. I would start making beats, and like I would like if they would ask me to play some stuff for them, I'd play some stuff like, yo, this is tight, and like I would send it to them, or like we'd be in a session and they would just be like, yo, do you have any of your beats that you've made or like worked on? I'd play them some, and they'd be like, oh, let me do this one, and it's super organic, not like forced, because my whole thing was like, these guys like they really fuck with me because I mix them, and I'm not going to try to change that or take advantage of like our relationship by being like, hey, not only can I mix it, but like I can make the beats too. It's more like, if you need beats, I'm here. And that's all it is. And I really like to try to get credits with other people, like people that don't know me as an engineer, like they think I'm just a producer. Just hit it from all angles, really.
I feel like almost everything that I've seen online is people say, get it in the mixing engineer's hands. Don't try to go straight to the artist, get it to the mixing engineer, and then they'll play the beats for the artist. Like, if you have those relationships, it's so much easier.
Yeah, yes and no. But because I get a lot of beats sent to me, just random emails.
But your buddies, I'm sure you're going to...
Oh, yeah.
So
but
that's
a lot of my
relationships.
buddies are the ones that are previously approved by the artist.
Oh, that's true.
So, like, I'm really tight with Bass One. And I wouldn't be that tight with Bass One, but all I know is that Skies really fucks with Bass One's beats. So when, like, Bass One would start sending me stuff, or, like, I'd reach out to him and be like, yo, like, because I'd be working on these songs, I'm hearing the beats, I'm like, I hear why he likes them. They're really good beats. And you want to have a valuable network of really good, talented people.
Dude,
So,
and we were talking about just being cool and hanging out, man. Like, dude, that's like word of mouth. So when Reed told us about you, we were, because Reed's experience and us, like, our connection with Reed now was instantly, and I didn't even think.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
know that you're a cool
dope.
dude instantly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important, man. You
Like,
gotta...
like when we first talked on the phone, I didn't even think twice. I was like, bro, let's get you out here. You know
That's
what I'm
fire.
saying?
That's super
but
fire.
but that's why I think that a lot of people, like, honestly need to think about how they act online sometimes,
Yeah.
how you act in person.
Definitely
like,
don't talk
sure.
shit in comments.
Don't
whatever
talk
you
shit in
fucking
comments.
do,
don't,
man.
I have a rule. Don't get mad or sad on the internet. Like, that's just, like, the biggest thing for
It's
me.
so
It's
important.
like, when you get angry, it's just bad energy. Don't put out bad opinions, because at the same time, like, a lot of people that hate are hating on something that's, like, putting food on the table for somebody else.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just the worst karma in the world. Show love on the internet. Be kind. Like, that is the easiest place to do it. That's the greatest thing about the internet. It's the easiest place to show love. But unfortunately, it's also the easiest place to show hate. But the love goes so much further, and it's so easy just to show love and repost or support your homies. It's a great place to be if you really know how to use it and filter out all the people that don't understand, don't really get it, because that stuff's really hard to see, and it makes me really sad, because I know it does affect a lot of people, seeing just like bad vibes, and especially artists are very sensitive, like, to what they do, and they love something and they really love it, and to have one person be like, this shit is garbage.
I mean, dude, you're putting your heart into that shit.
Yeah,
and then
bro.
just people are just like tear it apart, and honestly, just to make themselves feel better most of the time, which is just pretty pathetic.
And a lot of people take pride in having an opinion, and that's great. But unfortunately, in the music world, no opinion is fact for the most part. It's all subjective. Everybody likes what they like. So you need to find the beauty in everything.
Or if you don't like it, just don't comment.
Yeah, or don't comment. It's like it's so easy, dude. You'll be so much more successful if anybody's watching this. Less pessimistic, dude. Your chances of being successful, I think, get hacked in half.
Yeah.
If you're like an asshole or a dick. You know, and we say that, and then people try to point out the one person who might be a successful dick, and I'm like, well,
That's the whole point. You're doing it right now, motherfucker.
Yeah. No, and you just look so dumb when, like, you say something's garbage and then it blows up. And then
Yeah.
it's like, So wait, you said it was trash.
And then usually people's thing is to double down on that opinion. Be
Oh,
like, no, it is trash. It just did because whatever.
Dude, or if you got a lot of followers, so you get positive clout, obviously, from saying some shit. I'm like, that doesn't make you cool only because you got your fucking followers.
Yeah, and if you ever want a career in like the music industry, that's not how you're gonna get it.
Dude, everybody is
no
friends,
one wants
bro.
a critic.
Dude,
no one wants
I'm
to hire a critic.
It's the smallest circle of people, man. You fuck over one person, that shit is spreading around to like almost everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, you want to work with people that you enjoy being around, people that are good people, and you can't have people that are bad vibes, bringing negative energy, have opinions that they feel are true. It's just a hard environment to be in, and I think all the people that are here for a long time, that are going to be here for a very long time, are completely aware of how important it is to keep a positive outlook on all different aspects and all different takes.
It can work for a little bit, like Tekashi, but I mean, look at him now.
yeah, no.
I mean,
People will bring him up as an example. I'm like, dude, he's facing fucking life, bro.
yeah, no, that. I mean, he made really good songs. Don't get me wrong, but
That
I'm
energy
not
that he
huge.
put out there, man, it was just
Came back to
nonstop.
him.
Like I think he's a great artist, but dude, he was just putting out bad energy, beef with people.
That's exactly what it was. It was just
And,
bad energy, and it'll come back to get you.
And
Do you want to take an intermission real quick?
Well, first off, I want to tell you guys, we asked for it, and the blizzard of the fucking wintertime is here. This cold plus that has been
Oh, yeah,
wrecked.
it's
It's so cold. We thought it was hot. I'm like,
no, it feels great.
All right,
I was like, bro,
let's take an intermission.
I'm like, my fingertips are
intermission.
frozen right now. And we are live.
Okay,
Back from our intermission.
So we're gonna start this off. Neek wanted us to do
I
an
need this.
official AirPods Pro review.
You want to go first with your
Okay, I'm gonna
your
say.
opinion?
I'm
I
gonna
use them a
say,
fuck ton.
If I see anybody wearing the regular AirPods now, I'd definitely make fun of them.
I got to grab mine.
Oh, I'm just kidding. No, so I'm gonna tell you right now, they're super noise canceling. Like way
Yeah.
more than what I was expecting. Like you put them in, and all of a sudden,
Feels like the room disappears.
it's so weird. It feels like you get this. It feels like you get suction on your
Yeah.
eardrums, but that's not what it is. It's just the noise canceling turning on, and I mean, it's literally like. I mean, dude, it's better than.
Dude.
You like them better than your Bose.
Oh, you
right?
both got
So
them.
We both got.
got
them. I got them the day they came out.
Yeah.
I ordered.
So straight up, these I'm advocate because I work every morning at Starbucks every single morning for the past 5 years. So I've always had noise canceling headphones, which is a game changer. These are better than my Bose, like
Dude, I
almost
think they're better than Bose too.
Almost $400 noise canceling headphones. I kid you not, these AirPods Pros are better. And dude, the amount of work you can get done because for me, I'm in calls all day, dude. Like me and Drew are talking. We got to talk to people on our team. To switch between that noise canceling and just having something good to listen to music on and shit is like when I'm working wise, they're fucking amazing and they're easy. You just pull them out of your fucking
No, because I had the AirPods, the old
broke
ones.
pods?
Yeah, the broke pods. For some reason, my left one stopped working, and then like they wouldn't connect to my phone anymore. But I went back. I have these $20 pair of wireless Bluetooth headphones that I've got on Amazon, and I swear by them. Like I love them. Like I put in my AirPods, and I'm just like, nah. Like I want to use the other ones because they kind of go around your ear, and they just have an obnoxious amount of like bass in them. I've even like put on my Instagram before, like, yo, these are the best $20 headphones ever. They connect. The battery is like endless. I don't know if the battery ever dies.
I mean, usually the small Bluetooth speakers, they'll go forever.
It is awesome, and I really like them for the gym too because they don't fall out. Because I go extremely hard in the gym. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I've been thinking about getting the new ones mainly because they have the silicone like tip.
And they have like 3 different sizes too.
Cool.
Yeah, my dad had trouble wearing the main one, and I just told him about the tips, and he changed. He said, "Oh, they're perfect."
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
because a lot of people complained about that with the original.
I've actually read before that there's no way to make a universal tip for ears because every single ear is completely different.
Oh,
so
that
like
makes
a lot
sense.
of like I can't wear earbud headphones. Like just like the circle ones, you know what I mean? No matter how big they are, they always fall out. Like I can't keep them in. And like either they'll stay in, but they'll definitely come out to where like the bass is gone. So yeah, but I can kind of do the AirPods. It's straight. But the ones that I have now wrap around the ear, so it's all good.
That's probably weird to think about how another human being hears, because if your ear hole is technically different, wouldn't it be entering your ear in a different way?
And then, and then also everybody has like different frequency range on their hearing. I've definitely lost some from my early years of
For
blasting
sure.
music.
It's also weird when you do like music production, how you hear and how like your hearing evolves, not only like physically, but like mentally.
Detail.
Like you choose what to hear. And like you can,
I wish I could turn it off.
yeah, I wish I could turn because it kind of ruins music a lot of the time.
The closest thing I can do is just smoke a ton of weed.
Yeah, for sure.
Straight up.
But even for me, like I have a really hard time like just recreationally listening to hip hop music because like I work on it every single day, to where I just dissect it, not in like a ego way where like, oh, this could be better, but it's like, oh, interesting how they mix that, and then like just don't even listen to the song. I'm just like listening to like the effects or like listening to the compression on the lead. And it's just weird. That's why, like, when I like jam out, I try to listen to stuff that's not what I work on.
I can't just sit there and listen to like the average hip hop without doing that. There's certain artists where I can go outside of it, but then like most people, I'm just like, all I can hear is just the fucking kicks, 808s. If
Yeah.
the kicks slightly clipping, I'm like,
I will say that there definitely are some people too where I kind of can bypass it as well. But at the same time, it's all like the mood I'm in as well. Most of the time, I'm like in a work mode or like working on something, so it's kind of like what I hear for the most part. But if I'm out and about, I can catch myself falling into it.
It has to be stuff that's intentionally not mixed perfectly, to me, to a certain extent. So like Lil Peep, it really helps because he has a lot of stuff that's not like the vocals aren't meant to be necessarily perfectly foreground. They're really background and ambient. It helps me turn it off a little bit. Some people like that. Dude. And then, like you said, other genres.
Dude, me and Drew also have that, like, super hardcore, like, with just any good idea. So, like, imagine, like, I kid you not, me and Drew walk into a fucking restaurant, and you can pick out good ideas out of everything. So even seeing, like, on your phone,
gets miserable
on YouTube,
sometimes.
you cannot, any kind of content or, like, thing you're consuming, imagine not being able to, like, turn it off in a certain sense about, like, an idea that connects back to cymatics. Some trippy shit.
It's good. It's good sometimes, but
no,
dude, it drives me nuts.
It's good though. You get good ideas. Like the other day, I bought those computers, and instantly my brain just formed together this giveaway. I was like, "Oh, this would look cool." Like this, and like just thinking about how like one thing connects to another.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I find it hard to turn off in general. Do you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just like I can't turn off my brain at night, and then because I love music so much, in my off hours, I'm listening to music too. So it's like, when does it end?
Yeah.
Basically.
No, I find myself going down crazy YouTube rabbit holes in my off hours, mainly because I'm just, like at my desk, and a lot of times like I don't leave my desk, so I'll just like go on YouTube and watch like mountain biking videos, which looks dope. Like I really want to.
Some weird.
You need to do that to a certain extent, or you're just gonna be fucking stuck in music.
I got like
day.
a VR headset, like an Oculus.
Dude, we go on Oculus, bro.
I own 3 Oculus.
You got the
what do you
zombie
play?
game?
Which one? I
The
got that game,
green
but
zombies.
yeah, I got that game, but I haven't.
By the way,
Dropped
there's a legit ping pong game on Oculus.
I have that game. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty.
Once you get
man.
good at it, you're like, yo, this is like really legit.
I know, and you can play online multiplayer. I'm pretty
Dude,
sure.
I'm really good at Beat Saber.
I don't know what that is.
I'll do Beat Sabers. You have 2 lightsabers, and the notes,
What's it like,
the music's
DDR
coming
kind
at
of
you.
a
It's like
little
DDR. You slice a note.
Oh,
if it's
nice.
And you're slicing
It's
like
cool,
this.
man.
But I could
Do
play.
you have like the big Oculus or the Oculus Go? Because I have the Go.
Oh, so I have the Rift, and then I bought the Rift S.
The Rift S,
Yeah, and the Rift S, you only need like 3 plugins. Like it's not
I
a bunch
have
of shit
2
like it used
Quests,
to be.
and I have the original Rift. But the Quest is awesome because it's like fully functional, except you can literally play it anywhere. Like it's like the Rift, except it has all the games and stuff, or not all the games, but most of the games. But it just it's completely wireless, and it's just the headset. You don't need a computer, which is fucking awesome. But it's still you can play games. So
Very tight.
yeah, I mean, dude, I definitely struggle with turning that.
You ever
shit
played
off.
Brass Tactics?
Nah.
Dude, that's like a strategy game. It's like, you ever played like Age of Empires back in the day or some shit like that? Or seen
I
them?
have played very little games in my life. Guitar Hero I loved.
Oh, Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero is probably why I'm here today.
Do they
No
have
joke.
any kind of guitar?
Bro, you need to play Beat Saber. It's the same thing. It's a music.
It's
music
like-
with
yeah, I
notes.
love
it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very good at Guitar Hero.
Yeah, you would probably like this then. It's it's like a mix of Guitar Hero and a little bit of physical, like
Yeah.
DDR.
I played so much Guitar Hero, man. Guitar Hero 3 back in the day.
Amazing. Yeah, Guitar Hero 2, 3, because 2 had the X guitars. I forget what they're called, but then 3 had the Les Paul guitar, and then I think Guitar Hero 4 or 5 was the full band. But I love it because the drums on the Guitar Hero, the drum set on that was way better than Rock Band because those actually bounced.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, those drums were dope, and then that's pretty much what made me want to be in a band.
That's fucking.
That started the whole
Dude,
thing.
that's hilarious.
My brother and I would play that all the time. We even bought the double bass pedal because we listened to a lot of Warped Tour bands growing up, and a lot of them like double bass. So you could buy a second bass pedal for Rock Band and Guitar Hero. So some of the Metallica songs, my brothers be going crazy, double bassing it. I'm sitting there riffing it out.
I wonder how many people started production and music
so many
careers because.
I mean, the first time I recorded vocals was with a Rock Band mic, the USB. It was a USB mic.
that's hilarious.
So we would use that. It worked. It was tight.
I might have to get one of those just for like some lo-fi vocals or something.
Especially now, like with the way like a lot of people think so much differently. It's like, yeah, record that into a rock band. Like, and right now, using your iPhone microphone is like a big thing in production.
Yeah,
a lot of
man.
people choose to use the iPhone mic, which like you would think like it sounds like garbage, but I mean if you put it in the right spot and you have a good distance to it, it has a cool like tinny like cheap sound. And I mean there's so many plugins out there that are designed to make things sound worse, like a little cheaper. So like sometimes like an acoustic guitar sounds really cool in an iPhone mic because it has this weird like tinny sound. And when you put in like that 808 that's like not really there to begin with on the guitar end, the 808's just cut and the guitar just sits right up there. It's pretty cool. I might actually play with the Rock Band mic again just to see what's good.
Speaking of which, what's your favorite plugins for making shit sound bad on purpose?
Good question. So obviously you have RC Color, which is like every producer's favorite thing. Throw some distortion, wobble. The Isotope vinyl is really dope. Decapitator, Sound Toys, I like a lot. The Devilock Deluxe plugin, I like a lot. I really like the darkness. It has like a darkness knob that kind of just like lo-fi, like dims it a little bit because it's a really intense like compressor. I think when it's all said and done, just like compress it so much it distorts. And it has that darkness and mix knob to kind of make up for it. So I really like that. And then here's like another one, the Slate Digital. They just dropped like a kilohertz thing. Like it's like these new mini plugins.
Well,
They're
yeah,
really
those
cool.
are that's kilohertz plugins.
Yes,
like they
but
sell
they're
those
part
on
of-
their, they're part of their bundle.
Yeah. They have a thing called Faturator, which is really cool. It's like it looks like a little old TV.
Dude, that thing's awesome.
That thing's
man.
pretty tight.
That's one of my
Yeah, I
favorite
like
ones
that.
in
And
there.
then I actually made like 10 of my own multipass free presets. Have you played with the multipass?
I've very minimally played with it.
It's
but
super
awesome,
overwhelming.
Man. It's awesome.
It's extremely, for people that don't know what it is, you're pretty much able to put compression on 200 to 1K hertz and have like a frequency shifter on all the frequencies outside of that. You can just manipulate everything based on like the frequency range that it's in. It's pretty wild. Play with the presets, but I went ahead and made some of my own like quick make a MIDI sound a little cooler preset type thing with like reverb, distortion.
I need to go in
stuff.
and do that with multipass. It's so good, man.
It is really good, and I highly recommend it. Another thing I like it too, like no one uses it. Like everybody uses RC Color. I'm at a point where I can almost hear RC Color, like on a sample. Like they threw RC Color on that. I can hear the wobble. I can hear the noise. But with multipass, people don't know it yet.
Have you tried Faceplant yet?
No.
By the same company. It's so
Faceplant?
Yeah, it's a plugin called Faceplant. It's kind of like a super advanced serum, but you can use multipass. I'm pretty sure you can use multipass in there now, but you can use all those individual plugins in the
That's
plugin
really dope.
itself. So, but it's like a super powerful synth. Like
That's
it's
super
fucking
dope.
crazy, man. It's really good.
Super dope.
You want to talk about maybe like your favorite mastering plugins because we haven't touched on mastering too much in general.
Yeah, and let me go ahead and say this first. I by no means am a mastering engineer. Mastering engineers are very important, along with recording engineers.
Didn't you master Lil Skies' album?
I do, but I am not a mastering engineer.
So you did master
I did,
a
did
pretty big
master-
album.
but I have to put respect to mastering engineers because that is a completely different art. And for me, I play it really safe. I just get to hit hard, get it loud, to a point where no one's going to really know the difference. But yeah, so for my mastering chain, I love the FGX mastering console by Slate. The maximizer on that's great, brings up the levels, adds a nice little punch. And then I like the T-Rax plugins a lot. There's a super loud preset on the T-Rax. It's kind of like Isotope where it has like multiple plugins in one plugin. I think it's like the Deluxe is what it's called. They have a really nice, the brick wall limiter is really dope. The preset Advanced 3, Advanced 4, and Clip are really big sounding limiters for the brick wall limiter. So play with those are really dope. And L2 is cool. And also the Oxford plugins. I don't know if you've ever got a chance to play with those.
Like the Oxford inflator. They have like UAD versions, but I haven't messed with them too much.
The Oxford limiter is really cool. I'm still learning it because there's like an auto gain setting. And whenever you turn auto gain off, sounds like louder, but I think it's like better to keep it on. So I'm still learning that, but I like how it sounds. I really like how their compressor sounds. But I can't put it up there with my favorite yet because I'm still learning it, so it's going to take some time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Mastering it, like I really try not to overkill it. Like there's just so much that can go wrong, especially with like the punchiness of the rough mix. Super important to A/B everything, and to make sure you're not taken away. And also I use the PAZ meters for like my metering, and I meter with RMS, which is dated, and I honestly don't really recommend it. It's like LUFS is like the more with the streaming. Yeah. But I just know this plugin a lot, and it's hard for me to move away because like my stuff's been hitting really hard, and I know like how this plugin looks and feels, and it's really simple. But I always try to get it to around -8 RMS, and that's when I know I'm kind of in a good spot, like loudness wise.
The reason I wanted to bring up mastering is because a lot of people think that that's like the solution to their shit mix, and I want you to make sure
Everybody
people know.
says that. That's what we get.
They're
in
like, "How do I
comments.
master my songs? They sound so bad." And I'm like, "Bro, it's not.
It's definitely
not mastering.
It is not your mastering at all. And if you want to like really check, I mean, a lot of times they're like, it sounds bad because it's not loud. Just put a plugin on your master that makes it as loud as everything, and then you can just hear how bad the mix really is. It's like fix the mix and don't think like, oh, it's like quiet, doesn't really sound that good right now because it's not mastered. That's not what mastering is.
It's like a racing stripe.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. It's not like building the car. It's like that final fucking sauce that you put on it.
For sure.
I got a question. So, let's say a producer wants to go in this direction. What's one thing they can work on every single day to build their skills, maybe as a mixing engineer?
Training your ears and knowing what to listen for. It's a kind of complicated, but don't be afraid to like take an EQ and pull the frequencies up and just really listen to how those frequencies sounds to a point where you can kind of know your plan of attack without even touching anything. Like knowing, don't be like, oh, like there's too many highs. Like try to like think, is there really too many highs, or is it really just like one piercing thing that's happening? Try to like train, like know what to listen for, and start minimal. Start very like start with just your leveling, your panning, a little bit of EQ, some filters, and then once you get good at that, you can get your stuff sounding really good. You can get a little bit more creative artistically once you have that slight foundation, like that slight education of the basics down. But yeah, just ear training and really just trying to find, like going back to the good sounds. Like if you really want to like practice every day, practice finding good sounds and practice like what sounds sound good with different instruments, what kick sounds good with an 808. All that stuff can be really beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice for people to hear.
Hell yeah.
So I know I just keep bringing up plugins, but I mean,
I love plugins.
I know you do. I'm asking personally, so I learned about. The
yeah,
plugins.
no, and they're probably not going to see this now, but this is like the best time to buy plugins. So everybody's talking plugins right now because like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I've already gone off and got a lot of stuff I didn't have before.
You want to talk about reverb plugins? I know you love the Maniverb. You want to talk about that?
Maniverb is great. It's a really dramatic, big, quick reverb with a lot of effects built into it. And same with the Mani delay, which is probably my favorite delay plugin, mainly because it has a doubler phaser, reverb, and distortion built into it with a built-in high pass and low pass EQ. Maniverb is dope. Reverb is dope. I like Valhalla Room a lot. And I've been playing with the Oxford reverb as well, which for some reason, like I can't find a pre-delay knob, and I have yet to read the manual to see if that's just like automatically set to the tempo, because like to me it's like the pre-delay and decay time are like the biggest things with reverb. And like I don't even know if there was like decay time on it. It's just like sizing stuff. So I need to learn that, but that is one thing to know too with your reverb. And here's like a little reverb trick. When you're dialing in your reverb, you're trying to find your pre-delay, you can go online and go to a delay calculator that will tell you what to put your pre-delay at. Or what I like to do now is make my decay time really quick, like 0.2 second or 0.2 microseconds, whatever it is, and then play with the pre-delay, and at that point it just sounds like a quick slap delay. So you can really hear where it feels best by moving it up and down, because a lot of times when you put stuff right on the tempo, it just sounds a little like not that natural or a little too fixed, and you can add like a little swag or a little swing to your pre-delay by just seeing where it hits in that pocket. So have a very short decay time, short reverb time, and then to start playing with that pre-delay time to see like how that slap hits on the reverb.
That's a super subtle thing to say.
What?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
That's having a little bit of swing on your pre-delay.
Yeah.
That's super subtle.
It's a rabbit hole. It never ends. So like how much deeper you can go.
Okay, speaking of that, how do you we talked about this a little bit earlier, but how do you call a mix done, and like how do you stop yourself from going down that rabbit hole for hours and hours?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is this a better version of the reference mix? And not like better as in like everything sounds like way cooler than it did before. It is just like, does this capture what they were going for, but just put it in a better light, like dress it up a little bit nicer. You really want to get to that point, and you just don't want to digress. Even if you think the reference mix doesn't sound that good, if your beat's not hitting as hard, it's not as good as the reference. Like that's how a lot of artists see it. You might think like, oh, but my vocals sound way better than the reference mix. But did you really ABA it? Because like when you hear it out here in the car, like that reference mix is still hitting a little harder, even though the vocals don't sound that great. Like it's still louder, still more punch. So for me, like I will go down a rabbit hole sometimes, but for the most part, once I get it to a point that I'm like, all right, this is a better version of that reference mix. I'll save as, and then if I want to play with it some more, I will. But I always know I have that same copy of what I thought was good to go. Because yeah, you can go on forever and try to get it better than what it was before.
Yeah. What's the most common thing you see, like, I guess more newbie producers or amateur, like, rappers and singers send you? Like, what are you seeing, like, problems with the mix-wise that they should probably fix before you
They're
get in
turning
your
the
heads?
beats up way too loud. Like, the beat in the project is turned up, like, plus 6 dB. So on top of that, they're compensating by turning up their track on the DAW, like, plus 12. And everything's just really loud and distorting, honestly. And that's one thing that's like hard for me to battle because like a lot of times it's a game where like, yeah, like yours is louder than what this is, but mine's not distorting. Like this is distorting. And like when streaming gets a hold of that, it's going to be even worse. Like it's going to like duck and it's not going to be very friendly. So one of the biggest mistakes is people recording to a beat that is too loud or trying to turn up the gain of their microphone to be as loud or keep up with the loudness of the beat. The solution is turn the beat down. Just turn your beat down. Like when you put your beat into a project, start by turning it down -8, -6 dB. That way you're not playing with this whole volume game of like, oh, the vocals still aren't loud enough. Because then you're gonna find yourself adding gain on your compressor just because you want your vocal to be louder. Or like playing with the EQ, like boosting those highs just a little bit more because it makes it seem a little bit louder. You don't wanna mix for volume. Like you really wanna mix for dynamics and what feels good. And you really kind of shoot yourself in the foot by starting a project or making a song to a beat that's hitting like right at 0 right out the gate. Definitely give yourself that headroom right in the beginning.
I think people make that same mistake with like kicks and snares. They're like, I can't get my kicks and snares to hit. I'm like, dude, just turn down the rest of the shit.
Yeah, seriously.
That's the easiest way to do it.
And if it's distorting, then turn down everything and then turn down the rest of the shit and leave the kick in 808.
You can always add loudness after. That's not that hard these days, man.
It's not. It
Especially
really isn't.
with all these plugins. Like, dude, there's so many plugins you can add loudness with, if that's
Definitely.
what you're going for. You want to talk about, like, so basic vocal chain. Imagine you're just, like, somebody who's never even recorded vocals or mixed vocals or anything, and you want to start just recording your vocals at home. What's a basic vocal chain you can use to get it going?
One, audio compression, EQ, compression, DS. And like that is very basic, trying to keep it like pretty simple. I like to start with compression just to kind of level out the audio. I'm not saying like this is going to be the sound of the record. This is just like to make up for the volume variation in the performance. So it's a very like simple, maybe 2 to 4 to 1 ratio, compressing at -3 to -5 dB. A very humble, maybe a semi-fast release and a medium attack, and 3 or 4 dB of gain, adding gain, and then EQ, cut out your lows, do a low cut or a high pass, and maybe a little high shelf to bring out the top end, a little cut in the mid range around that 400 to 600, 500 range, and then compress that, and then DS wherever you hear an S and a T, and you'll be in a pretty good spot at that point. Don't overthink it. And for me, I try not to make my sound solely dependent on one plugin. Like if I turn this plugin off, the entire vocal sounds different. I try not to have that. I try everything to be a building block. step by step by step. And that's why I said, like, in the workshop that we did, like, my first, like, when I dial in my first, like, 2 or 3 plugins, I try not to mess with them after that. Because what you have to understand, it all falls in order. So if you mess with that first plugin, then everything reacts differently going down your chain. So it's important to get your vocals sounding really good with just this first, with the compressor and EQ, maybe another compressor, and then from there you can kind of have some fun. But for the most part, yeah, just start simple, start clean, and once you understand is when you get to take the risk and when you get to really kind of craft a sound.
Yeah.
I'm going to, real quick, Steven, you can continue after that. I'm just going to give this quick plug. Decap, which I'm sure a lot of people know him for his drum packs on Splice and stuff. He recommended me this de-esser called Air Windows DS, and it's completely free. Most dolls don't have one, so yeah, if anybody needs one.
Air Windows?
Yeah, it's called Air Windows, one word is the company, and they just have, apparently, he swears this he uses it instead of like FabFilter DS or any of the other de-essers. I've actually been using the Isotope one lately. I really like it, the NRX7, but I'm in kind of shopping around for a new one.
No, that's dope. One thing with de-essing that I want to put out there is don't really think of the de-esser as like a fixer plugin. Like, it's really like, a lot of times I try to mix stuff to a point where I have a nice balance of fullness and brightness to where neither is really dominant over each other. And the de-essing is really literally just to get like the S's and the T's. And if you turn it off, it's really not going to make or break that mix at all. So don't be too dependent on de-essers, but I will check that one out.
Reed swears that he just loves to cut the S's and just lower the volume because he says that's what it does anyways, and he swears that's like the number way to.
I'm sure that is, but that sounds pretty tedious.
Yeah, he's down to do that type of shit. You know him, man.
I know, he definitely is.
He's down to go in and do that shit.
For a puppet, he's really meticulous.
Oh, are you gonna say, Steven?
Yeah, so I got a question, man. So like, you're at a point now, I mean, being a part of, Giant Records, you know what I'm saying? What has there been a moment where you're like, fuck, I've made it? Or like a moment where it's like surreal, you're like, I can't believe this is happening, maybe?
Okay, I've never felt like I've made it. I don't know if I'll ever feel like that.
You shun it, man. Nobody should.
Yeah.
It's a bad way to look at shit.
But definitely, I mean, I always try to like look back and be like where I was a year ago, where I was 2 years ago, to appreciate where I'm at now. But at the same time, it's a very weird, strange industry to be a part of. There's really no stability. So like to have that comfortability is really difficult. And it's really just a constant grind to be better than what you were, to be more valuable than what you were. Because if you're fortunate to be put in the position that I am, to where I get to work with big artists that are signed to record labels, you need to understand that the level of competition is getting huge. It's not like I'm the only engineer they know now. Like their labels can put them with really good engineers. So it's a constant fire to make sure you keep up and keep going, because once that one payment happens, it's done. Like, then you have to get the next one. So no, I don't think I've made it, and I don't know if I'll ever feel like that, but at the same time, I'm just super fortunate and super grateful to be able to wake up every day and to do this, and know that I bring value to some artists and bring value to the game that I'm in right now.
That's awesome, man. How do you like kind of map out your day, like from the time you wake up till the end of the day? Like, what do you do?
So I like to work early and I like to create late, is what I would say. So a lot of times when I wake up, I would probably knock out some mixes, handle some emails, bug record labels and asking where the payment is.
Is that daily?
Yeah, I mean, there's just money floating out there that you just gotta remember that it's out there.
Everybody says that. Everybody talks about that shit.
Money floating out there.
It's really tough. And then when they start paying you the back end, but they won't give you the front end until this is turned in. I mean, you have like deliverables that are due. Are you familiar with like deliverables? How that works? With like a mix, so like you have to send like mix stems, dry stems, a reference mix, a clean version, a TV version, an acapella version, instrumental. And all these have to be at a certain file format. And like on Pro Tools, to bounce mixed stems, you have to solo every track. So if you have 50, 60 tracks in a project, you have to solo one, bounce, solo the next, bounce.
In the Pro version, you don't have to do that, apparently. I was thinking.
I saw that, but I still don't know, because like the way that I route with the buses, my mix bus and whatnot,
might not work.
I still don't think it would work that well. But I feel like somebody needs to make a bot. I've said this before because all it is
It
solo
wouldn't be that
bounce.
hard. That's a pretty
And
simple
Someone can do
boss.
that. You'd be surprised.
So next, if anybody out there is listening right now,
That's smart as
please
fuck.
make this bot. Because if I could just hit enter and it just solo bounces every track on its own, which isn't a hard task for it to do, that would be life changing.
We know some smart programmers, man. What we've learned is there's programmers that can do shit like that fucking without even blinking.
I love it. I'm so happy I came here because that would save my life. But no, like that's the kind of stuff. Like in order to get paid, like they won't pay you until you get that stuff done, and they're very picky on how it's done. Like if the dry stems aren't the exact same length as every mixed stem, you have to redo it and do it again. So yeah, it's a difficult. So a lot of my that's part of my workday is like making sure stuff's taken care of. People have the right files, the right type of files. Like I have a manager that will handle splits, and I have to sign certain producer agreements, and then you have the lawyer, and then you have to make sure they're getting paid the right percentage. There's a lot of busy work that comes with it too when you're dealing with the industry stuff, because it's way more legit. I mean, you have to you're dealing with real record companies that are distributing product that you have a piece in. So you have to make sure you're getting your piece, and then towards I might do a session with an artist between 3 to 9 p.m. and then I tap out around 9 or 10 p.m. and just do nothing. I'll do nothing or make a beat where I'm just I'll just smoke and mess around with shit until it sounds cool, or make a loop or make a drum pattern. But I can't sit here and be I wake up, I start work at 11, I go till 9. A lot of my work, and I'm sure you guys feel this too, is you work for a little bit, take a little breather, go do something, come back.
Man.
Yeah.
It's super on and off type work, which is awesome. It's really great, and you don't have to listen to anybody. You can go to the bathroom whenever you want. It's a good life to live, but at the same time, there's no salary, there's no guarantee in any of this, so you have to keep your head on straight.
Do you think it's a bit cutthroat in terms of how people everybody hunts for that slice of pie and fights for it in the music industry?
It's cutthroat if you surround yourself with people that are trying to cut your throat. You have to be with the right people that really want everybody to win, people that really want to see you succeed. There are people that would like to take credit for a lot of things that are very they told the dude to do this, or they linked up this guy with this guy. That is a real thing, where it's well, I'm the one who introduced those artists, so when they have that session, I should get a cut of that.
Yeah.
That is real.
That's crazy.
And that's really weird. It's
That's
really
the most
crazy.
silly thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but
Anybody
a lot
who
of
does
those people aren't making any music. They're just working at a record label, or trying to get up, or just have something to be hype on.
I feel like being like that in the first place though doesn't let you go as far. The way we see it is dude, I would much rather the reason why we fly people out here and front the costs and do all that shit. I would much rather bring the value up front and just be that guy that did link up that relationship and didn't ask for anything. Because
Yeah.
you get so much in return.
yeah, in the
I think
future.
rather than a short-term transaction, you get long-term.
That's how a lot of people think. That's exactly how I think. I have a lot of things that I've done that I could technically get points for, but I just believe that will come back around in the long run. And honestly, a lot of that stuff already has, and I've been very fortunate for that. But that mentality, and that's the type of stuff that people will keep wanting to be around you. People wanting to keep working with you, knowing that you're not going to try to cutthroat them. You're not going to try to
every corner.
just as long as you let them know it's all love. I'm doing this because I care about you. I want you to do well. Whether it's them that rewards you or somebody else is going to do the same thing for you in the future. So just keep putting out that energy, because that is so important in this industry. And there's a lot of not very friendly people, not the nicest industry in the world. But I think people really appreciate and hold on to the people that are really genuine all across the board.
Drew, do you want to start the Spotify round?
Yeah, but we should do a giveaway first, and then
Yeah.
and we gotta announce
what are we
it.
giving away?
We just usually give away gift cards.
Yeah,
to what?
Sometimes
Just
to
our
our
Applebee's?
website, and then sometimes we do we have a bunch of equipment in that closet over there. So sometimes we'll.
What do you got? Let me get something.
Dude, we got a whole fucking closet full of fun stuff over there.
Yeah, so we'll start the giveaway. We'll give you a plug, and then what we do is we switch to an audio-only portion, and that's pretty much you got to go listen on SoundCloud or Spotify or Apple podcast app to go check out the rest of the show. Cool. So for you guys to enter the contest, first off, we'll just say all you got to do is drop a comment of the favorite spot in this episode. And timestamps definitely help, and you'll have a chance to win.
There's a lot of fucking sauce in this one, just pure.
So,
yeah.
so they go hunt out the sauce, and then we find it also for videos, and then we put up the videos because they said the shit that's good. You know,
Wow.
So,
That's
so
dope.
we're
That's
able to
super
cut
dope.
out the good parts from that.
They help us out.
They're like editing them for you.
Yeah,
Like,
in
it's
a way,
legendary.
Yeah.
in a way for the little
Timestamp.
micro clips. Yeah, definitely.
And do you want to go ahead? I just want you to plug where people should find you. Where should they go follow you? Check out your stuff.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at Neek, Neek. My website is neekattack.com. On there, I have vocal chains and some recording templates for Pro Tools, mainly using Wave plugins. And then I also have some Logic templates up there as well. Feel free to cop those. I have some videos on my YouTube, just quick mixing. A lot about like what we did today in the workshop, just quick mixing videos, how I go about mastering, stuff like that. All that's on my website, neekattack.com. And I also wanted to shout out you guys so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is a really dope podcast and really love what you guys are doing. And it means a lot to the community and any aspiring kid in their bedroom that's really want to like get good at this stuff and feel like it's not as intimidating as it really is. It's really just about working hard and educating yourself in the right ways and just acknowledging that what we're doing here is art. There's no right and wrong. And I know you guys do a lot of really good in that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you again for letting me be a part of this.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Real quick,
course.
do you do like mixing services online still? Or?
Yeah. I'm a little more selective now of like what I do. But if you send me the record and we'll talk pricing and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely am still open to do mixing.
So
for
just in
clients.
case anybody is asking.
Pretty
about
much,
it,
he said you gotta have some deep pockets. to hit them up.
and also you gotta have some good music.
Like good
probably.
music.
Good music.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got some people that I mix for nothing right now because I really I believe in them. I believe in their music, and they seem like some really good people. So
That's awesome.
Oh
man.
yeah, cool. All right, well we shall start the Spotify version now.